Back to the earlier story about the Saudi executions and the call by the US CIRF for the State Department to act. Arsalan Iftikhar is a human rights lawyer and senior fellow for the Bridge Initiative at Georgetown University. He joins us now via Skype from Sterling, Virginia. Thanks very much for being with us. Let me ask you, first of all, about this call by the US CIRF. How significant is it, and will it make any difference in terms of putting pressure on Saudi Arabia overall?
Well, Hazem, the short answer is no, and the long answer is sadly no. You know, what we saw here recently in Saudi Arabia with the execution of 37 activists, 34 of whom who are Shia, show that this is a targeted crackdown against the Shia minority in Saudi Arabia. Most estimates show that only 10 to 15% of the Saudi population is Shia, but 92% of the people executed were Shia. And obviously, in light of the assassination and murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, there should be increased pressure from Western governments, not just commissions on international religious freedom, and really putting economic sanctions on Saudi Arabia is the only way to really put the pressure on them.
So how would you characterize overall the U.S. foreign policy towards Saudi Arabia, particularly in this area of human rights?
It's sadly very bad. As long as the petroleum keeps flowing from Saudi Arabia, we're going to continue to keep turning a blind eye. Saudi Arabia was actually listed as a CPC, a country of particular concern, by the United States State Department in 2006. And for 13 years, they've received an annual waiver, which precludes them from having any sort of meaningful economic sanctions against them, even though they're considered a tier 1 human rights violating country. And so, again, there needs to be political will, both here in the United States, but within other countries as well, to put some more economic, pressure on the Saudis to stop persecuting minorities in their country.
In terms of political will, then, if, as you say, there doesn't seem to be much of that coming from the Trump administration, what about from Congress? I mean, we've seen Republicans in the Senate, for example, taking a more active role in challenging the White House on this. Do you expect to see more of that?
Well, Hazem, those congressional and Senate resolutions are nothing more than symbolic. Again, I think Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is essentially just playing a waiting game. I think he's just trying to wait out the international community. And we saw that recently when the G20 announced that a future site for one of their G20 summits is going to be Saudi Arabia. And so again, we can't let the murder and assassination of Jamal Khashoggi and now the assassination of 34 Shias, 37 political activists, go unheard. Again, this is the time for governments to really, stand firm and say that, we will no longer do business as usual with Saudi Arabia.
Good to speak with you. Arsalan Iftikhar joining us there from Sterling, Virginia. Thanks very much for being with us.